I guarantee a lot of people, whether it's because now there's emails that have been uncovered, and that's obviously part of the conversation, which we'll get to, from boosters threatening to pull money. I'm sure a lot of people, and I didn't grow up with any familiarity with this song growing up in New York City. Eyes of Texas meant literally nothing to me growing up in Brooklyn. I guarantee that there's a lot of people who, in the last couple of months, going back to last year, have Googled this, and you could probably say, is the Eyes of Texas or are the lyrics racist, right? I guarantee. And people just try to get a sense of what, to my understanding, it's not about the lyrics, Teak.
No.
It's more about the song's past, which ties into a satirical song that was performed at comedic variety shows by white performers in blackface.
Yeah, minstrel shows. Yes.
Hence the resistance. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, so look, I did the same thing, and I went back. I was like, why is this a racist song? Or why is it being viewed as a racist song? And you're exactly right, BT. It's not about the lyrics in this particular song. It's about the, for lack of a descriptive term in music, like the entomology of the music, like where it came from and how it was originally performed. Now, ultimately, I don't think it's racist, and we've talked to Brian Jones, who is our colleague here at CBS, a lot of the Ricky Williams, a lot of these former black athletes at the University of Texas, discerning voices. BJ is still in the industry, and he talks about this, and he doesn't view it as racist, even though there is a construction in some people's minds where you could make it racist. I think where it got racist, BT, is when these letters that were written by boosters and donors to the University of Texas took it down a path that was demeaning and dismissive. Maybe not demeaning, but dismissive of black athletes' concerns. And essentially, without reading verbatim, they were saying things like, well, only 6% of the University of Texas alumni or student body is black. Therefore, they need to get over it. Or, if they have a problem with the Eyes of Texas, they should go play somewhere else and they can leave immediately. It was the opposite of what the student athletes were actually trying to do, which was create an environment of inclusion. A lot of these messages from the boosters around Texas, now not all boosters, but there was a handful of them, and these were uncovered, that were basically making it a black-white thing. Like, if you feel offended, then leave. Not we're going to talk about it or have a discussion about it, but leave. I was talking to Tracy about this earlier today because my wife is white and she understands the dynamic between black issues and white issues, and we live it every day, BT. And I asked her, I was like, is this racist to you? And she said no. And I said, okay, well, let me tell you the history of it. So Robert E. Lee, who was a Southern general, obviously, and is a professor, used to say this at the end of every lecture. Don't forget, the eyes of the South are on you. The eyes of the South are on you. It was co-opted by the University of Texas doing minstrel shows saying the eyes of Texas are on you. The reason that I think it's ultimately racist is because the lyrics are based on I've Been Working on the Railroad, which was a Princeton song.
From Princeton, right? In the late 1800s.
Exactly. Yes. That was basically mocking black and other workers.
Although there was an association with the Irish worker as well.
Yeah, agreed. Song. It's so
Princeton,
it's so
that's where that song originated, from Princeton.
I've been working on the railroad.
Yeah, correct.
That's where the tune is from. But it's not, the song isn't I've been working on the railroad. It's the eyes of Texas are on you. And so because they borrowed the tune from a racist song that originated in the North, by the way, they are now saying that it's offensive and divisive in Texas, which is a convoluted way of saying doesn't matter what you believe or what you think. It's all about or what the truth is. It's all about how you feel about the truth, and that's why this is such a dicey issue down at the University of Texas.
It's a big issue, and let's face it, the emails, and I believe there were about 75 or so, to this extent. I'm sure he got more than 75, but there were roughly a little less than 100 that were, really crafted in a way that are highly disconcerting.
Yeah.
You referenced the 6%. I know it's a paraphrase, but that's it. I mean, whomever that donor was, names obviously redacted from the stories. Basically, listen, we're 94. If I can paraphrase, we're 94% white on this campus. If you don't like it, leave. That's in essence what they're saying.
You're right.
So the problem now for Texas is that Coach Tom Herman, who just didn't win enough. That's why he was fired. Just didn't win enough, okay?
Or maybe it was influenced by the fact that he was standing with the players.
Well, that's where I was going to go. Tom Herman encouraged his players. He said, hey, listen, it's one of the biggest brands in sport. Use it. All right, use the platform. Use it.
That's exactly what he said.
That was a quote. And the players really took that to heart. Now, let's face it. If Tom Herman's ripping off 11-1 seasons, winning Big 12 titles, Tom Herman's not getting fired because he empowered his players. But when you have, middling success or intermittent success, or quite frankly, you failed to achieve what they thought you were going to achieve when they slapped $25 million next to your name when they hired you 5 years ago, whatever it was, you got to get fired. So Sarkisian now enters the equation, got a great quarterback, 5-star recruit, got to start winning, got money, only top 15, not top 5, not top 7, not top 10, but he's at the school that has failed to reach the pinnacle of what they once were, which is one thing, but now there's this internal strife, which is something else. And let's face it, let's just call it for what it is. If the University of Texas ever trotted out, how many kids dress up on Saturday? Just give me a number. I know the NFL's 50. Give me how many kids dress.
90 kids in home games. So the way is, I think it's 70-something.
Okay, so if they ever dress 90 white kids, they will never win anything. That's just the way it is. That might be uncomfortable for some to hear, but if the Longhorns ever come out of a tunnel with 90 white kids, they will never win anything. And I say that because while you can kind of put this in the corner a little bit if you want, that's only a few emails, it's only a few boosters. You can disassociate yourself from those boosters, which is what you have to do.
Yeah.
If too many young black players say, I'm not going to the school because of what's going on, that is going to adversely affect them. But I also understand that the song itself, the lyrics, are not racist.
That's right.
This is a tough one.
It is. It's a tough one. Because Texas has to worry that this is what they become known for. And again, you made a very important point when we first started talking about this, BT. I didn't know, and you didn't know, and unless you were at the University of Texas or one of their rivals, you weren't aware. So this kid from this top recruit, he's from California.
Yes.
He's not aware of the eyes of Texas. That song. It's not what he's thinking about when he's thinking about coming to coming to University of Texas. Just like if you're from, say you're from Florida, you're not aware of the good old song when you go to the University of Virginia, my alma mater, what we sing after every game or after every touchdown. Like, you're just not aware of those things. But because this has become so prominent and become a talking point that almost leads discussions. Right? It now becomes a deterrent, or
sure.
It's a check in the negative column, right? You make a column, all the positives. I'm going to go here because of X, Y, Z, alumni base, yada, yada, yada. But wait a second, that alumni base doesn't care about me because I'm black and they're threatening me if I don't sing the song at the end of games and stuff.
And before games.
Right? It becomes a narrative that is not easy to overcome because it's so nebulous and confusing and ambiguous about what this actually means for a student athlete there.
This is, Teague, I thought about this all morning, honestly. Once I knew this was our lead, and we discussed it on Slack, obviously setting up the show this morning. And again, we've spoken about this before. We had Sark on. We just played something from his press from when he was with us January 15th. We played something a few days before that from his introductory press conference. Like, this is not a new topic, a new story here on Tiki and Tierney. But, as I dug deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into the origin of the song and the symbolism behind it. I mean, let's go back to 1960, all right? It's a politically charged universe, right? Now it is. 1960, Lyndon B. Johnson at the Democratic National Convention, they had a 20-piece orchestra played this song for Lyndon B. Johnson.
Yeah.
So it depends where you're from, how old you are. but it can't. Man, I wish I had. I hate not having a definitive answer.
Yeah.
What I won't do is marginalize anybody who feels that it's not the right song. But what I also will not do for sure is paint the 540,000 great alumni of the University of Texas as racist because 75 clowns, flooded somebody's email. You're talking about 60% of a million people, 600,000 people basically walking this planet with UT roots. And I believe, and you want to call me naive, that's fine. I believe that the overwhelming majority, 95+%, have good intentions and believe in equality and want the right thing. It's the 5% that could ruin this for Texas.
Yeah, I agree.
That's what's tricky.
And it's become a PR puzzle that they have to, I think, navigate right now. Not survive because they're going to be fine, but they have to navigate this from a PR standpoint because, again, Tom Herman, new head coach at the University of Texas, didn't have to answer this question. 4 years later, or 4 seasons later, Steve Sarkisian, new head coach at the University of Texas, it's one of the first questions he's asked.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So that shouldn't be it shouldn't be the talking point at a press conference for a new head coach. And I fear that's what the University of Texas, with all of this new information coming out and everybody now getting curious about it and talking about it, and a little bit of a dead period for college sports, they got to manage this from a PR standpoint. Otherwise, they are going to lose a lot of those African-American recruits who will look at this and say, yeah, I'm not going to that place. They don't even care about me.
There's a lot of other options, and let's face it, other options that have won a whole lot more in Texas.
That's right.
They might not all have the facilities and the stadium and 110,000 people in Austin, Texas. They might not have all that, but there's a lot of schools that have some of that and none of this other stuff that is engulfing the program negatively. Thanks for watching. Make sure you like and subscribe, and don't forget to hit that bell to be notified when we drop fresh content.